Hi, this is Dr. Oireachtas again. I just wanted to talk about this particular upcoming case in the Supreme Court, and it's Byrne versus the Minister for Housing et al. Undermined, the Attorney General et al. How the party bloc undermined the Irish presidency, the recent Irish presidency. Just to mention that this is very important. The case Byrne versus Minister for Housing, Local Government Inheritance and others, now before the Supreme Court of Ireland, could redefine Irish democracy. It concerns something every citizen should care about: the integrity of the presidential nomination process under our Constitution. And it asks a profound question: can political parties lawfully issue a coordinated bloc to stop independent candidates from being nominated to run for president? Let me explain the two constitutional routes here. Under Article 12 of Oireachtas in the Irish Constitution, there are two distinct ways to be nominated for the presidency of Ireland. One, by at least 20 members of the Oireachtas, that's the TGs or senators from the Dáil or the Seanad, or two, by at least 4 county or city councils. These dual routes were designed to safeguard democracy, ensuring that independent citizens, not just party-backed figures, could seek nomination and serve as head of state. So this is fundamental to the Constitution, these safeguards. What actually happened? In this case, evidence shows that before the presidential nomination process even began, Fine Gael leadership issued a party bloc order instructing all of the Oireachtas members not to support or nominate any candidate other than the party approved one. The bloc was followed silently or explicitly by other parties, including Fianna Fáil, Labour, the Greens, wasn't many of those, Social Democrats, and eventually Sinn Féin, according to members in the Cork City Council, said that's where that emerged, as I understand it, allegedly. Every political party closed ranks. Every TD and senator fell into line. The Oireachtas route was completely shut down. At the same time, local authorities mirrored the same party discipline, meaning that independent candidates were also effectively denied nomination through the council route. Thus, both constitutional pathways, the Oireachtas and the county councils, were effectively blocked, leaving only pre-approved government candidates left. That's not democracy, that's control. The constitutional violation. Mr. Byrne argues that this coordinated blocking amounted to material interference in a constitutional nomination process. Now, I'm arguing the exact same thing, but I think he relies on 28. I'm relying on a number of others, 1, 6, 12, and a few other ones. It's like two different routes to the same theorem result. Look, in mathematics, the Constitution guarantees. Interestingly, he's interested in quantum physics. I'm interested in mathematics, and here we're against the law, and our physics and our mathematics background seem to clash with the legal interpretation. It doesn't make sense to us, and it seems to be law or quasi-law or whatever kind of law to them. It's nonsensical law as far as I'm concerned. But let's move along. Maybe there's something else going on here that might turn out for the good in the end. We'll see. The Constitution guarantees access, equality and freedom from political coercion in elections for the highest office in the state. Now, I can't see how the judiciary behind the scenes can't see this. But through this block, the political establishment colluded to silence independent candidates and predetermine the outcome of the nomination process. That's how it appears. This isn't a political grievance, it's a constitutional breach. That's our position. And from a mathematical, logical perspective, and from a physics perspective, we can't see it anything else other way. So the High Court's error, despite profound constitutional implications, the High Court dismissed this case as non-justicable, claiming the matter was too political. Well, perhaps it was too political because, the day of the hearing was inconvenient. A few days before the election, everything would have been in order, and etc., etc., etc. Monies would have been spent and polling booth days off, etc., etc. But this was a constitutional question, not a political one. It asked whether the state, through political coordination, can erase constitutional rights and nullify the nomination process designed to give citizens a vote. My understanding was there was some issue about the wording of Byrne's case that may not have been properly worded, but I mean the intention was there. I mean, Mr. Byrne was a lay litigant. It seemed to me, well, I won't say it was a black and white case, but it was a pretty clear breach. I just can't see, except that there may have been political pressure or undue political influence, but I can't say. I don't know, but it just doesn't seem logical from either a legal or a mathematical or physics point of view. But nevertheless, it's what happened. But the understanding is judges are very reluctant to interfere if there's a election the next day or in a day or two's time because of of the situation, and particularly I suppose when there's a right of appeal. By refusing to hear it, the court effectively allowed party control to override constitutional democracy. Why the Supreme Court must hear this case now? This appeal, in my opinion, is urgent because it goes to the very core of Irish democracy. I mean, it challenges unconstitutional interference in the election of the head of state. It exposes structural barriers that prevent independent candidates from ever appearing in the ballot. And it seeks to restore public confidence in the Constitution, that the Constitution still protects political equality and fairness. Every day of delay risks entrenching a system where the presidency, the people's office, becomes the preserve of political elites. The Supreme Court must or should act swiftly to ensure that no presidential election is ever conducted again under such constitutional influence. Closing, the Byrne case is not just about one nomination. Certainly not. It's about the right of every Irish citizen to stand for office without obstruction and the right of every voter to a genuine choice. When all parties obey a coordinated bloc, or appear to, democracy becomes a performance, not a reality. That's why this case matters. That's why it must be heard now. And that's why every citizen should be watching and should be talking. So anybody that listens to this should talk to their family, their friends, and explain, if they can get the idea, explain where they think, what way the Supreme Court should go. And this is not a matter for the Supreme Court. It's a matter for every citizen in Ireland. It's hugely important given the huge backlash with the spoil vote campaign and the real concern that democracy is now more and more contained in the hands of the few rather than where it should be, and that is shared among every single citizen, no matter what class or party they come from and no matter how much their wealth or connections. So I think there's a huge importance that this case here be discussed about everyone. Share the conversation, share the video, share your views, see what you think, and don't always believe what you're told, because a lawyer says this or a judge says that. Take it from me, that if a lawyer, at least if a judge says this, at least you can say it can be appealed. But if a lawyer says it, can you say I'll appeal you can perhaps say give me a second opinion, but you can't really say I'll appeal that law, Mr. Solicitor. Normally that isn't the case, but I think this video explains the landmark constitutional case Byrne versus Minister for Housing, Local Government and Heritage et al. Now before the Supreme Court of Ireland. The case challenges the party block orders issued during the presidential nomination process by Fine Gael leadership, which effectively prevented independent candidates for your nomination. My understanding is only one Fine Gael of the whole lot decided, I think in Tipperary, to side against the party bloc, but by and large the vast majority of the Fine Gael councillors and Fianna Fáil and others sided with the party nominated candidates. So remind us under 12 of the Constitution, Article 12, a presidential candidate may be nominated either by 20 or more members of the Oireachtas or by at least 4 county or city councillors. So that's where we're at. In a contested nomination period, Fine Gael issued a national block directive forbidding members from supporting any non-party candidate, particularly independent candidates and other Oireachtas parties, including Fianna Fáil, Sinn Féin and Labour in the Wheels, eventually Sinn Féin, followed suit, either openly or silently.